In this video, we'll try to understand how can we create custom ASP.NET screens to do insert and display operations on SharePoint list. Now, in order to demonstrate how to create a custom ASP.NET screen on the top of SharePoint list, what I've done is I have taken a simple state master list here, and this state master list has two fields. One is the state code and the other one is a state description. Now, by default, SharePoint creates a default screen here which will help us to go and add data to the list. So you can see that this is a default SharePoint screen which will help us to go and add state code and state description into the SharePoint list, that is state master. But sometimes, right, you would like to go and change the screen and create your own custom ASP.NET screen, probably with a logo, probably with some colors and some different look and feel, right? So what we'll do is we are going to create a simple ASP.NET screen which will actually go and connect to this state master list here and will help us to add data to this list. So what we'll do is let's go to a Visual Studio and let's go and create a web part, a SharePoint web part, which will actually go and add data to the state master list. So let's click on File, New Project, and let's go and select SharePoint here. Let's go to 2010 and let's create a visual web part by the name State Master Insert Screen. So this web part, what it will do is it will help us to insert data into the state master list, and let's click OK. Now the next thing what it asks is saying that which is the site where you would like to go and do debugging. So currently my state master is in the Quest HR site, so I'm going to keep the same site name as it is, and I'm going to click on Finish. So there's my web part, and I've switched to the design mode, and you can see that I've also opened my toolbox here. So let me go and drag and drop two text boxes, one text box for the state code and the other text box for the state description, and also I will drag and drop a simple button here which will help me to do the insert. So let me first drag and drop two labels here. So I'm going to one label for the state code and the other label for the state description. In the same way, I would like to have two text boxes here. So one text box for the state code and the other text box for the state description, and also let me put a button here which will help me to do the insert into the list. So button, that's it, right? So I have two labels here, and this label will help me to get the state code. So state code, this is for the state description, just designing the screen, right? This text box will be for state code. So let me put a proper naming convention here so that we don't get confused when we go to the behind code. And I'm going to say here txt state description, and the button I'll say add states, and let me give a nice name to this button saying btn add states. Also let me go and add a simple data grid to the screen so that whenever he clicks on this add state, the recent data is displayed on the data grid. So I'm going to go to my toolbox again, and let me take up everyone's favorite grid view. Okay, so I'm just drag and drop a grid view over here. So the way this will work is this web part I'm going to go and host it on the Quest HR site, and this web part which is created in ASP.NET will help me to add states to the state master list, right? So let's double click on the add states button now, and let's start writing code which will help us to connect these ASP.NET text box to our list. Now in order to go and get access to the list object, to the state master list, the first thing is we need to go and import two important namespaces. One is Microsoft.SharePoint and the other one is Microsoft.SharePoint.administration. Now in order to go and add data to the list, we need to get hold of the list object. Now the class which actually helps you to reference the list object is the SP list class. So if you see this SP list collection here, it has a nice function here called as add item, which helps us to go and add data to the list. So the first thing is we have to somehow get the reference of our state master list into the code, and then only we can go and add data to it. In the previous video we discussed about the SharePoint object model, and one thing we said over there was that the way the hierarchy was is that at the top you have something called as web applications, and inside the web applications you have all the list. So the first thing is we need to somehow get hold of the web applications. Now in order to go and get hold of the web application object, you need to use the SV web class here, and you need to say o web, and because we want to get hold of the current web application object, so we have to say sp context dot current dot web. Now so the first thing what we've done here is we have got hold of the web application object. Now that we have got hold of the web application object, now in this web application object we need to go to the web application object and get hold I'm sorry for the typos, get hold of the state master list, right? So now that we have the web application object, so you go to o web dot lists. Now you can see that there is a list collection here, and you will say that please get hold of state master, right? Now once you get hold of the collection, right, you would like to go and add a new item to the collection or add a new data to the collection. So you'll say add a new data to the O list collection. So to add data over here we need to use add item. So I'm going to say okay, go and add a new item here, and I'll say get hold of this item which is added, and now this new item, to this new item go and set the text box values, right? So first let's go and set the first field, that is state code. So we'll say here o item state code is equal to text txt state code dot text, and o item dot state description is equal to txt state description dot text, right? And finally we would like to go and update this item to the database, to our list, that is. So I'm going to say here update. Perfect. So let's go and build this. So I'm just click on build and say build solution here. So let's see if everything is working fine there. So that my build started and succeeded. Good. Now the next thing is we would also, if you remember, right, we had also put a data grid over here, right, a grid view source. So we'd like to go and bind the data into this grid view after the insert is happening. So let me go and create a function here saying load grid. So I'm going to say here private void load grid, right? Now again, to load the grid, right, definitely I need to get hold of the list collection first. So let me just go and copy paste this code here. I know that I'm doing redundant coding here. You can always go and create a class and increase reusability, but at this moment, this code is for demonstration purpose. So first thing is I need to go and get hold of the list collection here, and this list collection I'm going to go and bind with my grid view data source. So let me go to my grid view. One dot data source is equal to olist dot item dot get data table. Now remember that your grid view data source is not compatible completely with SP list. In other words, you cannot just go and bind this olist object to data source, so you need to actually convert it to a data table, so which I'm going to do here. Get data table, and I'm going to say here grid view one dot bind data bind. Great. And once it is added, I would like to go and load this grid here so that I can know that the new data is added. So load grid, and let me go and build this. So now that our web part is created, so there it is, succeeded. Now it's time to go and publish this web part, and then take this web part and put it on a page and see the output. Okay, so I'm going to go here, view solution explorer, and I'm going to go and right click over here, and I'm going to say publish. So you can see that there is a deploy. I'm sorry, there's a deploy button there, so the deploy means publish. So I'm going to go and deploy this on my Quest HR portal. So let me click on deploy. So you can see that the deployment has started. My PC is pretty slow on which I'm trying to demonstrate this. So you can see that the first thing it does is it actually goes and recycles the application pool here, and to just ensure that just that the new DLLs which are uploaded are refreshed, or it is available to the SharePoint portal. So you can see it's recycling the IS application pool. Then it is going and adding the solution, the WSP file. In the later parts of the videos, we're going to discuss about the WSP, but for now, just you can think about it's a package file, which helps SharePoint to which helps to deploy your code into the SharePoint. It's activating the feature, and there it is succeeded. Great. Now let's go back to our portal here, and let's try to create a page here which will help us to display that web part. So let me go here and click on site actions, and let me create a new page here, and let's give a name to this page called as entry screen, or I'll say state master data entry screen. Right. So let's give some time for this box to pop up. So it's a state master data entry screen. I'm going to say create over here. So there's my page there. So I'm going to go to web part now, and I'm going to click on my web part which is deployed now. Previously also I created one more web part with the same name, Visual Web Part 1. So this one is the actual web part, the one which I've selected. If you see right in the elements.xml file, actually I did not go and change the name, so that's why it is showing me here as web part 1. So let's go and add this, and you can see over there it's clearly showing us our text boxes, our custom buttons here, and let's go and save this page for now. So there it is saved. Now let's go and see that when we add over here, does it really go and reflect in the state master list. So let me just click here. I'm going to say here test 1 to 3, and description this is test. Now once I click on add states, it will actually show me the grid view source here. So I'm going to just do add states here, and I hope things should work. Right, so you can see my grid view over there. Now we have not what you call bind it with specific column. We just said grid view dot data source, and we just binded it. So you can see that it has binded all the columns over here. So if I go to my grid view source, and if I specify specific columns, then I should be able to see the specific columns here. So that's our thing. So basically we went ahead, we created a simple web part, and then later we attach the web part, the ASP.NET text boxes to our SP list, and we called the list.update, and then in order to bind the grid view, so in order to bind the list, we got hold of the list collection, we converted it to a get data table, and we bind it out. Just to cross check, let's go to our state master list to see that if we can see the test 1 to 3. Yes, we can. So you can see that whatever we inserted by using the ASP.NET screen is clearly reflected onto the SharePoint list. So I hope that you have enjoyed this video. So in this video, what we did is we created a custom ASP.NET screen, and we did a simple insert on the list of SharePoint. In the same way, if you wish, you can always go and do updates. You can always go and do a delete. Thank you very much.